business news. Today we are looking at two of Britain's leaders in the pub industry, namely JD Wetherspoons and Greene King. Greene King is one of the UK's leading brewers and pub retailers and operates through three business segments: retail, pub partners, and brewing and brands. Their retail business is split into Destination Pubs division, comprising its retail brands such as Hungry Horse, Old English Inns, Eating In and Lot Fine Restaurants, and a local pub division comprising its Greene King branded pubs. The other company, JD Wetherspoons, was founded by Tim Martin in 1979. It's well known for its wide range of drinks and policy of not playing music. It is one of the biggest high street pubs chains in the UK, operating over 800 pubs under the Wetherspoons and Lloyd's No. 1 Bar trademarks. Lloyd's No. 1 Bar possesses the same great standards and values, but with music. They also have Wetherspoons hotels offering quality accommodation at reasonable prices. Although the two companies operate in the same industry, they have different aims and objectives for their business. Greene King's aim is to emphasise the achievement of organic growth, whilst JD Wetherspoon aims are to have by far the best CQSMA standards in the pub world, to be the best company to work for, and by doing these things to be the most profitable. With us today in the studio are Tanya, Strategy Financial Analyst at JP Morgan, Rebecca, Market Analyst at Thomson Reuters, Thomas, Investment Analyst at Mercier, leading consultants firm in investment, and Carlos, Manager Consultant at McKinsey's. So Thomas, in this ever-changing environment and financial crisis, how are the two firms coping? What are the factors affecting them?
Thank you, JD. Firstly, due to the current economic crisis, people generally less disposable income, which means that people purchase alcohol from supermarkets rather than pubs as a cheaper alternative. Mm-hmm. And in fact, many pub owners have expressed their discontents as supermarkets pay less alcohol taxes, which makes it even more difficult for the pubs to compete. And on top of that, the VAT increased to 20%. But on the other hand, both pubs have proven to be resilient so far to the economic crisis. But the question is, for how long? If the recession goes on for much longer, it might well impact the two companies negatively. And then there is the issue of binge drinking, underage drinking, and the health impacts of drinking alcohol, which means that additional taxation or further changes to laws and the sales of alcohol could lead to both reduced revenue and increased costs for the pub sector.
Thank you. So in this current environment, how are the two companies competing?
In this competitive industry, threat of new entrants is very low. Despite the fact that initial costs are low, investors may find it hard to raise the necessary finance in the current economic climate. Also, large chains are able to benefit from economies of scale, therefore increasing the barriers to entry. This is already a high saturated market. On the other hand, as Thomas mentioned, as customers have less disposable income, they are opting to stay at home instead of socializing at the pubs. Also, cutting out stages on the supply chain by brewing their own beer, Greene King is gaining competitive advantage towards JD Wetherspoons. Another thing to point out is the magnitude of those companies. Because of their large size, they have influence over suppliers, therefore the power is in their hands. Additionally, the pubs industry is price-led, which results in high levels of competition that some companies might find it hard to compete with.
Those are some points made. But how do the company actually differ in terms of their financial performance?
Well, first of all, the two firms are proven to be very successful, even though the current economy is stagnating. An interesting element to point out, though, is the fact that even though Greene King has many more units, as mentioned, they still have lower revenue. But on the other hand, Greene King's pre-tax profit is much higher than JD Wetherspoons. In other words, Greene King is selling less but having a higher profit margin. One of the main reasons for such difference is the fact that because JD Wetherspoon is focused on a low price strategy, targeting customers who are more price sensitive, the profit margin is much lower than Greene King's, 7.8% compared to 11.2% respectively. Then again, JD Wetherspoon has a higher ROCE, 11% compared to Greene King, 7%. which indicates that a larger chunk of profits can be invested back into the company for the benefit of shareholders. In other words, with a higher ROCE, JD Wetherspoon displays a sign of a successful growth company.
Interesting. So Rebecca, now that we have an understanding of their financial performance, how do the companies differ in terms of their resources and competencies?
Well, in regards to resources, Green King are ahead of its competitor with a total estate of 2,400, whereas JD Wetherspoon only has 860. Then again, Wetherspoon has a larger human resource capacity consisting of 26,000 employees due to a higher rate of footfall. In terms of their competencies, both companies are quite similar, but Wetherspoon rank consistently higher, and they are known to be more innovative, perhaps because they're targeting a younger crowd. They also score higher on quality of management, which is an important indicator of sustainability.
So now that we have an understanding of their goods and services, could you explain the main differences in stages of transforming the raw materials into the finished products to customers?
The stages that you are referring to is the value chain analysis, and it looks at every step of a business goes through, from raw materials to the eventual end user. The goal is to deliver maximum value for the less possible total cost. Green King has 3,800 less employees than JD Wetherspoon's, which means they are able to maximize their profits by saving money on staff. Having 26,000 employees could mean that Wetherspoon's might be overstaffed. However, the fact that they are producing higher revenue contradicts this assumption, and in fact, the high number of employees may be required for the high footfall of customers. Green King offer a range of services such as the visitor centers, museum, guided tours of the brew house, online shop. Wetherspoons offers a smaller range of services, including conventional service such as mystery shopper program and excellent customer service.
To conclude, it seems like from both internal and external perspective that even though the two companies operate in the same sector, they seem to target different segments. So which of the two companies would you say are most sustainable?
Well, both companies are doing well at the moment. Green King has a very focused strategy, and they're concentrating on real ale and traditional pubs. And they're more of the premium brand compared to Wetherspoon, and they're known for their high quality. They have also managed to increase their off-trade presence in supermarkets, which could potentially become a more important source of revenue if their customers start to become more price sensitive due to tougher economic times. And Green King's success also lie in their ability to spot new mergers and acquisitions opportunities and takeovers as well. Wetherspoons, on the other hand, are managing to grow organically, and because the company doesn't make takeovers, they don't have the issue of cultural clashes. They're also managing to keep their costs down, although it affects their profit margins, of course. But potentially, given the rapid growth of Green King, I mean, they did open up more than 1,000 pubs in recent years, their management might be spreading too thinly, and there's a threat in that they might lose focus. And on the other side of the coin, are there sufficient gaps in the market to enable Wetherspoon to reach its target of 1,200 outlets without any takeovers? And in regards to opportunities, this is where you can see how the two companies actually differ in terms of their target audience. So Green King's opportunities lie in the UK's aging population, as their branding is more about traditional and they're more conservatives, and altogether they attract a much older audience. Wetherspoon, on the other hand, can potentially benefit from the growing trend among affluent young drinkers, and that they prefer bars instead of pubs. But the real threat for both companies are actually supermarkets. If people are becoming more price sensitive, the supermarkets will pose the biggest threat long term.
Great. I would like to thank my expert panel for their very insightful opinions, and don't forget to watch us again next week. Have a good afternoon.